Hello, in this video we'll continue to develop our Forge application. In the previous part I created the structure which I like, and in this part we will add TypeScript and eslint to our application, and also I will show you how to create your developing environment for Forge. Okay, let's start. Okay, here is our code. I made a couple of changes here. Okay, let's start from custom UI global page. Here I added eslint here and test config, and also in the package I also added dependencies here. Yeah, only here. So as you can see, dependencies are a bit outdated, but that's the problem with Atlassian Forge application, because I use Atlas Kit, and some dependencies in Atlas Kit are very old, and sometimes when I try to create an up-to-date environment, something stops working. So once a year I always try to update it, but then it works initially, but then when you start develop more and more, something stops working. That's why right now these are the dependencies which definitely work. I never had problem with it, but maybe sometime later I will try to update it to make it more up to date. It will be another attempt. Let's see how it will go. I will show you if I do it that. So that's I added dev dependencies, and here I also added the same in the Forge directory. I added eslint and typescript hidden.json. Why I created this typescript hidden file? Because when you deploy something to Atlassian environment, Atlassian merges its own configuration with the configuration which you've got in your Forge folder. And the problem is that if you put there typescript, something goes wrong there and it just does not work. That's why if you want developing this in TypeScript in your Forge folder, so in custom UI you can have typescript, no problem. But in the Forge folder you need to rename it. And after you renamed it, you have to execute the following command in your, for example, terminal, just to let TypeScript know that TypeScript should use another typescript file with another name. The command is, I put it in this file, so it's this one. So basically what you have to do, you have to open terminal. Here I'm in the Forge folder, and you just execute this command, that's all. And after it, TypeScript knows that TypeScript should take this file. Okay, so what's next? Then I renamed, of course, all files with TS extension. So if, for example, inside the file you've got JSX, it's this React language where you use tags, all the things, then name it TSX. If you don't have anything related to HTML, then you name it TS, and that's it. So here I don't have anything related to HTML, that's why I just added TS extension. And here and that's what I changed here. I return, I say that I get text, actually return a string. So it's always nice to know what the function returns, right? Okay, but main changes happened, of course, here in custom UI global page. I also renamed here everything to TS or TSX. You see, index, it's actually it has like this HTML rendering, so I named it TSX. Then app TSX, see? And here, for example, you see right now it telling me that I've got an error here. Let's see if I try to save it, and you see it added the comma and the error has gone. But actually I don't need it, I'll do it like this. The next thing, I will explain later what it is, we will go to it. The next thing, report. Because TypeScript lets you use define types for each variable, which is very convenient, I created an interface report. An interface contains of the table, condition, group by, order by, and columns. And as you can see, condition contains I condition. It's it's of this type, and it's an array of 5 conditions. That's how I did it. And then after I added this TypeScript and eslint, I had the following errors. Because I fixed it, I will show you on the screens what errors I had in my project without it. Here is the first error. You see, I used here double equality sign, and it told me, okay, you should use this one. Actually, I used it correctly because my current item is a number type and item ID is string type. If I use 3 equality signs, it will not be able to verify this equality, because the types are different. It will not be equal. But if you use 2 equality, it will take one of the variables to the type of the other variable, and then everything will be fine. But I fixed it because, yeah, it's not nice thing. You never know, like because when you develop something, you should think how the other person will read it, or how you will read it in 6 months. That's why you should write it as explicit as possible. I will show you how I changed it. So if we go to this file, here it is, and then I'll find here these 2 signs. You see, I just converted number to string. That's all. That's what I did. And now you can see, like, if you're the developer, you can see that that's how it goes. And then you already don't think like why you use 2 equality signs, what the type of the item, and so on. The next thing, okay, let's have a look at another error. Another error I've got, for example, you see here useEffect. I used useEffect in this file before, then I deleted it, and then the dependency is still there, the import is still there, and it tells me, no, delete it because you don't need it. Okay, I deleted it and everything is fine. Let's have a look at the next error. Okay, the next error, it says that I'm using here HTML, right? And it tells me, come on, you should import React. Actually, it will work without it, but as a good thing, yeah, it's better to import React. That's why I imported it over here. I will show you. Here, you see, I'm importing it. The next error, it tells me that I'm defining report, and this report actually is missing validation, because I do not know what fields this report contains, right? That's why I need to explicitly say that this report can contain the following fields. And that's what I did. As you remember, I created the reports interface, and now when I pass report, you see I define the interface of iProps. And in this case, I can see that report is iReport, is open boolean, close model, it's a function, set report is a function. And now, for example, if I'm going to work with the report here, let me find report, for example, here, and then I push dot, you see I can see the columns. Which is very, very nice. I know right now what report contains, and I can work much easier than before. Because even when, you know, I wrote this program a week ago, and then when I created this interface, I had to go through my code and to identify all the columns which the report has, and it was a bit complicated. And moreover, if you've got lots of code, so it will be just very annoying. Okay, so the next thing, let's see the other error. Another error, you see, I called the field group by instead of group by. And it told me, come on, you're referencing the group by and it doesn't exist on the report type. And which is good, it told me that I did it incorrectly. Let's have a look at the next error. And the next error, you see, I'm using current item and it tells me, come on, it can be undefined and you are using as if it's defined. And that's why I had to add this, if core item is defined, only in this case you can do these expressions. I'll show you how I did that. Here it is, you see. When it is defined, only in this case you can continue with something. And if there is something, if it's not defined, it means something went wrong. And I just go here with the message. Of course, the message should be a bit more understandable, but right now I just did it because it's just a demo. So you see, in general, our code started to become much better, much more understandable. It checks for errors. It also, for example, if you write something, then push Control S, it will put everything in order. It's just to do the necessary amount of space between lines. So everything is clean, everything is much more understandable, everything is much better. That's why I think you should use TypeScript and eslint on your projects. Just don't ignore it. Otherwise, your code will become a mess, a big mess, which will be very difficult to work with for somebody else or for you. If you take it after 1 year or 6 months, you will have to change something, you will have a problem. Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's talk about development environment. First of all, for development environment, you need Docker. Here it is, I've got Docker. And then, first of all, if you have to open manifest file. It's in Forge folder. Here it is. And when you define a resource, you need to set the port on which you want it to be run. I set 3001. I did it on purpose because I want to show you how to work if you've got several resources. Because if you put here 3000, then nothing else should be changed, everything will work. But if, for example, you have another resource, you edit some other page, and then you edit some other resource here, then you cannot already use port 3000. All resources must work on each own port. You will have to use, for example, 31. And if you put here 31, it will not be enough. So I will just put here 3001. And next thing what you have to do in order to work, you have to go to custom UI over here, packages, and then find the script here, and you see, and add here that you want, if the command start runs, you need to run npm start on port 3.1, and then everything will work. Okay, let's try it. First you say npm start, then it starts it over here, you see. And then after it, you can already use command called forge tunnel. And now that's where you need the Docker. It will take the image, and then it will create a container from this image, and then it will be already looking after your environment. And for example, if you make changes to your application, it will immediately deploy it to development environment, which is very nice. It's much faster than every time you use npm run build and then force deploy. It's much faster. I will show you right now. Okay, now it's working. Now let's open our application. It's over here. Apps, like this. You see here, for example, I want to change, I want to add something over here. So let's see. I'm going to create report. No, I think it's in up. And then over here, in here I will add report like this, and then just save. And now if I look here, you see I've got here my message report. So it's immediately applied, and that's very cool. Another cool thing, for example, let's see, if we open our Forge application, we've got here our function, and it has here this console log statement. And here you can see already the logs. You don't have to go to this developer console. You can see it right here. And if you change, for example, like let's add something, console.log, here we are. I saved it. You see now it's bundling the code again. Let's wait until it's bundled and then already deployed. Okay, it's done. And now, for example, if we refresh the page, we will see our changes. Over here, you see? Over here we are. Yeah, that's it. Very fast, very simple. And that's the way you should develop your applications. Okay, here is the useEffect. So as you see, it's async function. Why I made it async? Because I wanted to use await. because invoke returns you promise, and if I don't use here async, I would have to write something like then all the things, but it's not very nice. I like this much. It's much more shorter and more understandable. So that's why I use this async. About this variable, I want this function execute only once, and that's why I just put here any scalar. So, and right now, as you can see, you see I here put here text console. As you can see, if we open here console, this function executed only once. What happens if I remove it? What happens if I remove it? I removed it, and now let's see. It's executed once. Now if I open create report, and then it's executed again, you see it keeps executing all the time. Something changed in React. Usually, when, for example, you write useEffect, you usually update something there, and a variable. And to make it work only when you want, you have to add some kind of variable over here. For example, let's say over here, let's say that you want to run this useEffect only when the report variable is updated. So what you have to do, you have to say like this, report. And then this useEffect will understand that if report is updated within React, then it will execute this useEffect. Let's check. Actually, I didn't have to refresh it. It's just like I am already used to it. So you see, hello world is executed. Now I created the thing, and nothing is executed because report wasn't changed. And now, for example, if I push next, then you see report changed, and hello world also appeared. That useEffect was executed. So that's a very important thing, because when I started with React, it was very difficult for me to understand how to make this useEffect work well, because it kept executing without stopping. And that's what you have to know. Just if you want to make this useEffect not execute on every change in React, just create a variable and execute it when the variable changes, or just add a scalar if you want it to be executed just once. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to tell you in this video. Next video we'll continue to develop. We will develop something else in Forge. Have a good day. Bye-bye.